Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey, everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of the Referrals Podcast. Are you kidding? This is not the Michael J. Maher Podcast. No, it's Referrals Podcast. Why? Because it's all about referrals. How do you get referrals? How do you get more referrals? Here's the thing. Have you taken your vitamin L today? I need to know that. Like, have you taken how about this? Got milk? I'm just kidding. Got Milk was one of the greatest advertisements of the 80s and 90s. But I have a question for you that is even more important than Got Milk. That's right. Milk has sugar. Milk has protein. Milk tastes good. But I've got something that's even more powerful than milk. Got energy? Do you have energy? Do you need more energy? Well, I'm telling you right now, today we are going to give you energy. Today's guest is going to deliver the goods. Now, before I bring Mr. Hooper on, I have got to give a huge shout out to Amy Greer from Scottsdale, Arizona. She is in our Sweet Dreams class and just took 30 mornings. If you're not familiar with 30 mornings, we help you build your ultimate morning ritual. You can go to 30mornings.com. We also just launched Sweet Dreams. You can go to 30evenings.com to sign up for Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams is the class that helps you develop your ultimate Sunday night ritual, which is a week preview course, and then also a nightly ritual so that you sleep better than you ever before, wake up more powerfully than you've ever before, and become more positive and productive than you've ever been before. She's in this class, and she is knocking it out of the park. So positive, so productive. She said, nobody cares more about you. Michael Maher and his team want you to succeed in life and business. He does everything in his power to lead you to your better self. Amy Greer, I really appreciate that. And here's the thing. It's like Amy Greer goes, Michael, you changed my life. And it's like, that's not true. That's not true. Amy changed her life. All we do is create environments where people can change their own life. We give them the structure. We give them the class. We give them the course. We give them the community and the environment for them to change their lives. And I will tell you, in 30 mornings and in Sweet Dreams, people have radically changed their lives. In the current environment, people are looking for structure and control. And guess what? The easiest and fastest way to do that is have a ritual. Have a ritual. Have a morning ritual, a nightly ritual, and then a Sunday night ritual, and you will feel so much more in control of your life. Check it out. That is it on that. Now, I will tell you, this guy is as accomplished as any speaker we've ever had on Referrals Podcast. Now, he is the VP for WFG National Title and for Mid-Atlantic Business Development, and he does reside in Central Virginia. This guy is the sales coach for sales coaches, and he is the sales coach for realtors, and he's the sales coach for lenders, and he's a sales coach for all sales people. Tim Hooper trains teams throughout the real estate industry on topics like energizing your sales process, rehumanizing, and I think we could all use that, rehumanizing client connection, and building raving shareholders in your business. He holds a BS in mass communication and public relations from Middle Tennessee State University. He is a John Maxwell certified coach. He is the 4-time author of the God Energy series, which was really brilliant on his part. He wrote one book that was like 5,000 pages long. And trust me, I know exactly where he's coming from on that. It's 500 pages, and it's like, there's so much in here. So he broke it into a 4-part series, 4 books, God Energy. I love it. And when Tim's not traveling to speak, he's spending his time at home, obviously, with his 4 kiddos and his lovely wife, Jennifer, while also pursuing his quest to run a marathon for charity in every state. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to today's Referrals podcast, Mr. Tim Hooper. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, man. Now, where do I send the check for saying all of those nice things?
Oh, come on. You're well accomplished, brother. You've done a lot in a short period of time. And I'll tell you, it's like, first of all, we gotta cut to the vitamin L chase. You know, people are literally, they're still wondering what, you know, it's like we take vitamin C, we take vitamin B12,
right.
We take, you know, all vitamin D, you know, and we've got to get some sun and everything else. But what's this vitamin L thing?
Man, I'm telling you what. So, you know, you're exactly right. Vitamin L. My brother, you know, you have those mentors in your life, and my brother's one of them. Shout out to him. I stole it from him. You know, he's built 3 successful companies, and one of which is the health there. And I know, Michael, you are a huge proponent of health, and your daily doses have been on fire, just especially through COVID, just helping people like, hey, take care of yourself, you know. And really use this time maybe off the road, a lot of us, you know, on the speaking circuits off the road, to actually hone in on our health, you know, start walking or running or something. And so his whole goal is he's not selling a health product, although there's great health product companies out there. His whole goal is coaching people back to health on a very cellular level. So they get in with coaches, and it's just like you, man, with your Sweet Dreams coaching. It's get in the trench with them, figure out what's not working. He'll actually send coaches, not nowadays, they do it virtually, but to people's house and just completely audit their cupboard.
Yeah.
And pull everything out that's full of, you know, salt or anything that's just can't. It's all about fresh and clean and actually how to do it in your budget. Everyone thinks it's hard to eat clean or it's too expensive. Really, that's a myth. It's not. But he helps them see it, because until you see it, sometimes seeing is believing for a lot of people. So he coaches them. But he said, Tim, 3 days in, a week in, 2 weeks in, he said, people are ready to give up. Like, they committed. They were all in. But he's like, and we all know this, right? When I coach people to run marathons, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's 2 weeks in. How do you do it? He said, we smother them with vitamin L.
Yeah.
He's like, because unless they feel it from day one, and like on the first call, I am in love with you as a human being, like your health and wellness, and that you're the way you feel and come alive, because we're going to like get you so intoxicated with that love that when the going gets tough, you don't give up, because you will pick up the phone and call us, not because we're selling you another upgrade or selling you another product or whatever. We are upfront on the price. It's a hefty price up front. We are upfront and honest with you, but you bought in, and now we're supporting you every step of the way. We are we call this top people off the ledge, right? And it's vitamin L. And I'm telling you, Michael, that if we would get that in sales, like, we wouldn't ever sell again.
Yeah.
We never sell again.
Yeah. Yeah. So vitamin L, right? Vitamin L is vitamin love. And it's the first vitamin we should all take, right? First, love yourself, fly. First, love yourself. You know, love yourself, take care of yourself, and take care of your health. And once you love yourself, it's easy to love others. You know, loving people, love people. Hurting people, hurt people. So if you find yourself hurting other people because of your frustration or whatever it may, get a dose of vitamin L and start loving yourself. And it's okay. Forgive yourself. Let it go. And guess what? Love is the center of everything we do with the Generosity Generation. Generosity is love in action. Like, that's how you show people you're loving. And then appreciation is love in reaction. Things are going to happen to you, good, bad, and ugly. Appreciate it all, because it's just part of your story. It's part of your journey. And those bad and ugly times, a lot of times turn into very beautiful times down the road. And good times, well, a lot of times turn into even better times down the road. And I have to tell you, I can't wait. I mean, you wrote a book series on God energy. And I have to tell you, that's like, what is love? Love is energy. What is generosity? It's love in action. So it's genergy, generosity, energy. And then
Genergy, I love it.
Yeah, genergy, right? I mean, you can actually, that's what I help people do all the time is you got to create genergy. And how do you, generosity, you go first, right? And all these things that we know, if we want people to get interested in us, get interested in them. And that creates energy back
Yep.
to you. You know, generosity is the same way. But it's like everything is energy. I truly believe it's the most precious asset out there, more precious than relationships, more precious than time, more precious than money. It is energy. We have a very finite amount of energy each and every day to deal with. And there are people who suck our energy, and there are people who give us energy. And Tim, you're definitely one of those. And I want to go right into deeper, stronger, better relationships, right? So it's like, how do we create better relationships like right now, today, you know?
Right. Great question. You know, and the whole premise of this, you know, especially during this time, you know, I did this talk with the Central Virginia Mortgage Bankers Association, and I put the outline out there. I'm like, how do I, you know, they ask you, write a blurb, send your headshot, yada, yada. So I'm like, okay, what's the blurb? Like, what do I say to capture the interest? And everyone's Zoom fatigued. Everyone's on so many trainings every day. And I'm like, and I don't like to do bait and switch. I don't like a topic that's like, get them in just to get them in. I'm like, how do I just, and it just hit me. I'm like, and I had been on the call with my sales coach every Saturday morning, called my sales coach, and masterful guy. And he's like, dude, if young salespeople would just unburden themselves with all this pressure of I gotta make quote, I gotta do this, and just unburden themselves with that and just go in with human kindness, he said they would completely change their paradigm. They would be going at it a different way and get better results. And I was like, stop selling, start empathizing. Because we talked about empathy and how powerful empathy is. Now, before I go too deep, a lot of sales coaches, they'll find fault right away and say, well, hang on, you've got to ask for the business. You got to, you know, there's got to be that part of you that I'm like, absolutely. Like, I am very upfront with people, whether it's a home buyer, whether it's a real estate agent, I'm going to be upfront with them as far as what I do and get to know them and what they do. They know that to experience this love and, like you said, generosity and appreciation is kind of become part of my network, and we're going to work together. Like, they know, I put that up front. I lead in, but it's not, the story's not about me. It's stop selling, start empathizing. Because when you empathize, you get to build a human connection right away. And I was telling you earlier, Michael, I coach a lot of beginning real estate agents, and FOTP is huge, fear of the phone, right?
Yeah.
And just until you pick up the phone, like, it's funny. We go on LinkedIn, we send them a LinkedIn request. We go on Facebook and we Facebook friend request somebody. And in our psyche, somehow we've tricked ourselves into thinking, okay, I'm connected with that customer. I'm connected. I beg to differ. Until you've actually heard this right here, this tonal, this vocal cords of somebody, we were all given voice for a reason. Until you actually hear somebody's voice and experience their presence, whether that's virtual right now, my favorite is face-to-face. Until you experience that, you really haven't connected with another human being. You have not left them something memorable that they won't forget you. And it's not about them not forgetting you. It's about you connecting with them at a human level, an emotional level. Like Maya Angelou said, people will forget what we said, did, but they will never forget how we made them feel. So when you hear their voice, you can also hear their tone. You can hear if they're being fast with you and want you off the phone, or you can hear when they're hurting and something's going on in their life. Maybe their spouse was just diagnosed with something, or their kid just, you know, is struggling because he's not in school and he wanted to graduate and he can't. And you can pick up on things by hearing this, their voice, the tone. And so I'm just like, stop selling, start empathizing. Well, guess what? In my coaching classes with young realtors, we just get over the fear right away. I'm like, just pick up the phone. Don't even do anything. Pretend you're not a real estate agent today. Pretend they're your neighbor.
There it is. That's the answer, right? Is you know, just pretend like you're a human for 5 seconds. And just be human. So what's a strategy for that, right? So it's like, man, this sounds really nice. I need to stop selling and I need to start empathizing. Like, what is a strategy around empathy? Like, what does that look like? And empathy is definitely different than sympathy, right? So it's like, what does that look like? What does a call look like that is based on empathy versus maybe selling, right?
Right, right. I love what you said, sympathy versus empathy. Sympathy is me listening in and saying, oh, that's got to suck for Michael, what he's going through, right? I mean, you sympathize. Empathy is feeling it. It's E. It's the E. It's the emotion. It's the empathy. I'm like, I can feel your pain. Now, I tell people right away, don't try to empathize with something that you don't really understand yourself, right? And let's not BS people. I'm not talking about that at all. If you don't understand what they're going through, just tell them, wow, that's got to suck. I can't imagine what you're going through. Be honest with them. But if you say somebody's diagnosed, like my wife was just diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'll tell you, over the last month, Michael, all the people that have reached out of all of them, and they're all appreciated, everybody. The ones that have really stuck and stayed are the people that have gone through it, because there's just a different energy when hey, I just walked through that 2 years ago. There's my story. And then you're like finding hope in that. So let's not BS people. Oh, I know exactly what you're going through.
Hold on a second. Jennifer, seriously? Like Jennifer was diagnosed with, seriously?
Just 6 weeks ago. It's right after you and I connected. It's crazy, man. World, boom, upside down. And
wow.
And you just walk that, right? But it's caused me to realize. I'll tell you a quick story. Can I tell you a practical? All right, you asked for a strategy. Here's a strategy.
Yeah, I don't even know if I care about strategy right now. It's much more about being real, right? It's like that's real.
Here's the realness. Here's the realness, right? You don't just pop the news out there to everybody, right? You take it in, you cry, you stand outside of UVA, just cry on each other's shoulders. You pray, you kind of find your center. Then you look up and it's like, well, who needs to know? Like, we're doing biopsies right now and they're rushing them, so things aren't looking good, but who needs to know? Dad, mom, like close sisters, brothers. Right, so we're calling just a few. Then you find out the diagnosis. Now you're calling a little bit larger group, right? Just your intimate, and then slowly but surely people start reaching out. And then finally you're like, we need to make this a weekend. We put a post, she puts a post out there, and really she said, I don't want to hide this. Like in our, sometimes you get in a trial, you're like, I just got to get through this. And then she's like, I feel like I've been given this. And my wife, if you knew her heart for women, it's amazing. She's like, I think I've been given this to be a voice and to share and to just open up about this. So she's taken this as her calling and something that's been a gift to her. And I'm just like sitting here inspired and blown away. And I'm telling you, man, but, I mean, yeah. So, but I'll tell you straight. So here I am, you're not really letting on to your whole network yet. And I still had Zoom calls and trainings. And of course I took a few days off to be up there with her, but you're still be able to balance your schedule. But it was different, Michael, man. I'm getting on to speak to 50 people on a WebEx meeting. And it's just a little tough when you're not totally public with it yet. And you're sitting there trying to show up. It was tough. Yeah. And I'm telling you, during that speaking engagement, it's like 3 days after this, then, I get a call. I call him on my phone, and I'm on just like I am with you. It comes in, so I can't answer it. And it's a software provider for title agents, which she and I were working on some things together. Now, I didn't have an update for her, and I knew she's probably calling for an update. So, somebody reaches out, and just so you know, real estate agents, when you reach out to people, a lot of times they get this like defense, like, they need information I don't have, or they need me to. So just know that defensive wall goes up right away. And it's not your fault. I like what was it Mike Weinberg said, the defensive wall in sales is not your fault, but it is your problem. So that's why empathy is so key. But here's the deal. So Christine, she goes like Chris, she calls me and leaves me a voicemail. Now, in my mind, for the rest of the workday, I'm just killing it, just this, that, and the other. You know how it is. You were just telling me earlier. You're switching hats, man, all day long. It's just booked out, and your secretary's filled your calendar. You're just on. So I get to the end of my day, have dinner with the kids. We put them into bed, pray and sing with them, put them into bed. And I get into bed about 11:30 that night. And I'm trying to have somewhat of a routine. And I'm like, I should probably listen to a voicemail. And here's another little tip. If a voicemail is like 2 minutes long, I usually it'll stay there for a lot longer than the 15-second one or the 20. This one was 15 seconds. So I listened to it. It's 11:30 at night. I'm worn out. I'm emotionally drained. And here's where it's at. Chris gets on the phone. She says, hey, Tim, just calling today. I wonder how you're doing with all this COVID stuff. It's got to be tough. I know you run around the Mid-Atlantic and you're probably shut down right now. Call me sometime. Let's just talk about this. Had nothing to do with listen, you know that they're working on a house. You know they're working on, they know who you are. Reach out sometime just to be human. Leave a voicemail, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, just to be human. And not as a sales tactic. Flip the script in your mind. You got to nurture this love and generosity and appreciation. You got to nurture that. But get to a point now, starting your journey and nurturing it so that you can become, 10 months down the road, a year down the road, this truly organic human emotion just overflowing out of you that you'll just call, and it's not go straight to the sale or the script. You don't even need a script. You'll call and create human connection. I'm telling you, I broke down, Michael, and cried.
Yeah.
I just teared up in my bed. I'm just like, because I needed that right then. And I'm an energetic guy. I don't care if a salesperson calls me. But that meant the world to me. Guess which voicemail I didn't delete, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that one. You hang on to it. So
yeah, the wall goes, right? The wall is gone.
Right now.
And then it's almost to the point where, why did I build that wall? Why did I build that wall with Chris? Chris cares. Chris is all over this. You know what? No more wall with Chris. It's just going to be real. It's just going to be a good relationship. And,
Right.
Tim, the other part of this that, if you want to talk about it, you can, but you don't have to, but it's just like, you're still functioning, right? You're still speaking, you're still coaching, you're still doing that. Like, a part of this is like, I really need to be strong for my clients. I really need to be strong for my audiences. And then there's this whole part of it where, it's like, you just gotta not be strong anymore. You just gotta let it go. And so, how do you manage that? How do you feel like you manage that on a daily basis where it's just like, you've got this, but you've also got this weighing on you? Because I think there's a lot of listeners here who there's three kind of places, right? There's one is people will go, what are you doing working? You should totally be home all the time. You should totally be like, they're kind of in judgmental land and they're into this, like, that kind of thing. And then the middle one is kind of where you're living, which is you're home, you're taking care of things, but you're also working and taking care of things there. And then there's the third, which is, you bury yourself in work, right? You dive in over here and you don't do anything at home. And I have to tell you, there's a fourth option, which is you do nothing and you curl up in a ball in fetal position, right? And it's like, I think that there's people here that need to hear that there can be a balance, between taking care of home, taking care of her, and like still being productive and function. And there's benefit to being productive and functional. How have you managed that? And I sincerely want the answer if you're willing to go there. Right. It's not on script. I basically gone, it's like, woo, because this is real. This is life. I
love how I try to slide this in on you. Now all right, if you're listening to the podcast right now, I'm just going to say this, and I'm not paid to say this. Here's the exact reason why you need to follow along. You need to get inside of Michael's programs, because this is where it's authentic. We have this whole script planned, and here I try to slide in a little piece of information, just keep on going, and you stop and threw the script away. Mm-hmm. Guys, get around this, please. Get around this energy. Here's the thing. All right, I'm going to answer your question. So
you're going to ask me a question, or am I going to answer you?
No, I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
But man, I appreciate you going off script. I really do. And this is really where empathy is at. See, it's scary to go off script. And when you get empathy, when you take empathy as your lead, not as like a tactic, but as your lead, it's all in, you're open, exposed. Mm-hmm. I promise you it's going to get scary. You're going to go places you didn't intend to go. You're going places you don't know how to answer or deal with or anything. And Michael's just laid the example. Go off script. Just go there. Just go there. So you went there, so I'm going to answer you. Yeah. Number one, you do feel like crawling up in the fetal position. Mm-hmm. The news hits you. You didn't have plans. But I will say my faith has so much to do with this. And I know I'll probably so many people who are, they have faith. Maybe you don't have faith.
You don't have to sugarcoat anything on Referrals podcast. Yeah, just go.
Wherever you're at, I believe that trust the process in your life. There's something happening for you, for your good. Believe that. Because when we believe that we are loved, we're accepted, we will love and accept. So my faith has so much to do. You sit there, like I said, you find center, you want to curl up in a ball. And at times you need to cry. Listen, society tells us all to be superstars. Don't. Stop it. Like somebody told me this quote a long time ago, Michael, my speaking coach, and he said, Tim, we impress with our strengths. We connect with our weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And connection's my word. I want to connect. Mm-hmm. In anything I do, I want to connect. If I don't connect, I didn't get everything I could have gotten, right? Yeah. I didn't connect. If I go to church and don't connect, it's a failure. If I'm in my home but I didn't connect with my kids, it's just connect. Everything where I turn, I'm like, did I really connect? So I'm like, okay, wow. You want to crawl up, you want to do it, but here's the thing. Take what was just handed you, this whole big whatever, turn it all upside down. You're like, wait a minute. Like, something's happening in the background for like, hang on. I don't have to put up this big show, this big superstar show. I can cry. It's okay. It's all right. And you know what? And then my wife, it's amazing because, Michael, she's been going through just 2 years of just this journey of growth. And I'm telling you, stay on the journey of growth every day, guys, because it will count in the day of battle. It will count in the day when trials hit you. And she is a very introvert, very private person. We grew up very religious. And so coming away from some of that for more relationship, more connection, or digging into our faith, asking hard questions. And you know what I'm talking about, just healing, going through journeys of healing and, past stuff, bitterness, things in our past, just getting over healing, so vital because here's the deal. She said, I've been given a voice. I'm going to be vulnerable. So she has a podcast. She just launched it. She's 9 episodes in when she gets this,
what's the name of it?
And it's Enough podcast. It's like, you are enough, right?
Yeah. I get it, yeah.
Her whole goal is women and their identity. And I looked at her, I was like, what about the podcast? She said, I have been given that as a platform, and this is a gift. And I'm like, huh? So in my own mind, you do want to curl up and cry, but we're called to rise and make a difference. We're called, there's people who are counting on us to show up, not for us, not for our egos so we can stroke it. They're counting on us to show up because they want to look at us and say, if she could do it, so can I. If he could do it, so can I. But here's the thing. You're going to lead them astray if you say, I did it, and here's all my accolades. Mm-hmm. You will not lead them astray if you say, I made it. Mm-hmm. But here's the struggle and what it looked like, right? So getting vulnerable, I think, is, if I had to answer your question one word, because I always like to come down to one word, like what's the takeaway? Vulnerability. Do not need a pedestal. Don't need a title. Be vulnerable. Just be open. It's okay. And it does, Michael, what you just said, take down a lot of the mental blocks, a lot of the mental barriers, all the facade gone. And then you just can connect with people, right? Yeah. There's a time and a place for a title, right? Usually in court or something like that. Wow. But in this world, we don't need titles. We need more human connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell you, real is super attractive right now. The clickbait titles, the fantastic news, the idiotic, the ridiculous, the glorified, the uber impressive, is all becoming less impressive. It's much more about real and raw and uninhibited. And, you really hit on it there, if I heard you correctly, that, you showed up to speak for the mortgage professionals and the lenders at Blue Ridge. You showed up for a couple of things. One is to honor her. And another is because you made a commitment and you knew you could change a life in that room that day. And your calling is bigger than your issues, if you will. Right.
Circumstance. Yeah.
And so I love that. And I think that that adds a lot of value to the Referrals podcast, because with COVID, with illness, with sickness, with death, everybody is experiencing it from one angle or another. And what you can do is you can just live your life in a fog of negativity and illness and sickness. And you know what will eventually happen? You'll get ill, you'll get sick, and that kind of thing. Or, you can clear the air and pursue, right? And go and change people's lives and live your mission and deliver your message. And that's I'm very sorry to hear that. I really am. And
Well,
yeah, that's
thank you, Michael. And I will add to vulnerability very quickly. Surround yourself with good people.
Mm-hmm.
Surround who you're partnered with. Like, so I'm partnered exclusive with WFG at a national title as a sales coach to real estate agents and mortgage loan officers in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Mm-hmm.
And when the news broke, I'm calling our SVP up, just let him know, hey, I'm going to hit the things on my calendar tomorrow that I need to hit. But some of the internal meetings I need to excuse myself from. We've got to be back up at UVA. So I'm on the phone with, and dude, I'm telling you what, when I saw my email blow up with cancel, like he's canceling stuff for me, I'm telling you what, knowing that you have a team, and if you're an independent real estate agent, be in a mastermind, be somewhere, be plugged into a team of other professionals who have your six. You know, in the Navy, it's like, you know, the Air Force,
Yep.
I got your six, right?
Check your six,
Have
brother.
somebody on your six. Yes, get somebody on your six. You know what? We have been surrounded. I want to just weep right now because, you know, I loved your quote the other day on the Daily Dose. You said, generous givers are appreciative receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I stole that from you. It's up here on my board.
Yeah.
Generous givers are appreciative receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you what, we've been in a posture to give, and then all of a sudden, boom, all these people come around us. You know, in our past, before we were giving, it was like you didn't want to receive. It was like you didn't know how to receive. But now, all of a sudden, all these people coming around, my electric bill comes in at $0. The guy who mows my grass, he's out here, and I had the check ready for him, and I was on a Zoom call, so I said, hey, babe, would you get this to Bo? And he's a fantastic lawn mowing company, and he comes to the door. He's like, Miss Jennifer, my wife went through breast cancer. In fact, she would love to come and have coffee with you and just answer any questions you have. And we just want to, for the rest of the year, just take care of the lawn on us because we know, dude, I almost didn't accept
Mm-hmm.
it, but then I remembered
Mm-hmm.
how blessed it is to give
Mm-hmm.
and how I'll be robbing him from that blessing and her from that blessing if I didn't receive.
That's right.
And man, and dude, let that emotion, let it just,
Mm-hmm.
let it be there. Feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Just feel it. People love you. People want to love you. Your prospect, your top prospect right now, they want to love you. They just don't know you yet. So, you know, again, I'm back into sales mode here, but you know what?
Let's go there. So let's go there, right? So you just said that, you know, his wife who had breast cancer wants to take your wife, who was just diagnosed, to coffee. And isn't interesting that, you know, we have this grab a coffee strategy, right? So what's your grab a coffee strategy when it comes to business? And please note that wasn't a strategy of the landscape guy, right? That was being
Right.
human. So please notice
Right.
that. But here's the thing: we have to identify these things and call them grab a coffee strategy, so that it reminds the realtors and lenders and the professionals that, you know what, this is a strategy, but you're going to feel human doing it because this is what humans do, right? What we're saying is
Right.
really like, let's all quit
Right.
being salespeople and let's all start being human, you know? So what is
Right.
the strategy? I have no idea what this grab a coffee strategy is, but I can't wait to hear it.
Well, let me tell you about my strategy, and I'll tell you how just it sucks. It sucks because my grab a coffee strategy works flawlessly every time. And with COVID, it sucks because I can't grab a coffee, right?
Yeah.
I read a book a long time ago, Never Eat Lunch Alone.
Yeah.
And I was I'm going to shout out, I don't know if he'll ever listen to this podcast. He's a business owner in Nashville, but if Jeff Turner ever listens to this podcast, Jeff Turner gave me a shot as a broken 18-year-old young guy. I was not married. I had 2 suitcases to my name, kicked out of home, and Jeff Turner hired me to be his gopher. I became the assistant to the president of the company, and within 2 years became purchase manager. Within 7 years became the sales manager. Now, he gave me a shot because he saw something and he believed in me, even when I didn't see it in myself. But I'll tell you, he gave me books. He was a high school dropout and a successful businessman. And so he gave me books. In fact, that's where I got turned on to John Maxwell. And later somebody paid me to go and get mentored by John Maxwell and get my certification. Again, but Jeff Turner poured into me and he gave me this book, Never Eat Lunch Alone. He said, Tim, I don't want you in sales. Don't eat lunch alone. And it changed my life, Michael. I'm like, wow. And so the whole premise, you know, is go to lunch with a yellow pad, right? So grab a coffee here in sales. Here's how it works. And this is why it works so well. Now, I'm saying it sucks because I love sitting across the table on a coffee. I love prop back in the chair. I just
You can
have it
still
down.
do that.
Then,
You just have to be 6 feet away, right? I
yeah,
mean, we can still go grab a coffee,
Yeah.
Kind
Well,
of.
in the early stages, we're opening back up. And yes, actually yesterday, the largest real estate broker in Central Virginia launches their title company. So I take them lunch yesterday, and we're face masked, but it felt so good to be back in the presence of humans.
Yeah.
But long story short, you can do this online and virtual as well. We flipped the script early on in COVID, and I had more Zoom calls throughout this whole time than I had meetings for the last month in person. It was amazing. I realized I'll probably be doing Zoom a whole lot more in my sales strategy, and the in-person is when it really counts. Yeah. So here's the strategy. Grab coffee. It's unscripted, right? So never eat lunch alone. I wasn't in sales at the time. I was just a young professional trying to learn. So he said, I want you to go. Here's what the thing. At 22, I want to get into politics. So this guy, Jeff Turner, he's like, I want you to go meet my friend, Senator Shane Reeves in Nashville. I'm gonna send him an email because he believed in me. He's like, go to lunch with him and take a yellow pad. And then that's what sparked his mind. And he's like, here, read this book, right? I read the book. I went to lunch and quickly learned I didn't want to get into politics. But anyways, I took a yellow pad and I just asked questions. It never left me. Michael, I don't do anything different in sales. I take a yellow pad. Now it might be in my iPad. In fact, I get to the point now where, I kind of like have a structure, and I usually, before I meet with somebody, I know the hot topics for them. And so I'm really, you'll get really good at like where to go with the conversation. But the big thing is be unscripted, have a yellow pad, ask questions. Because here's the thing, in sales, we rush in with a solution. We spill our candy in the lobby. We just dump. It's like a plumber coming to your house before ever going to your basement. He just opens up in the living room on your coffee table, sets his big old toolbox down, scratches it up, and does a claim-bang job of showing off all his tools in his toolbox.
Right.
And you're sitting there like, I've got water spurting out downstairs. But that would be a foolish plumber. Well, in sales, we do the same thing. We go in, we start showing off all these solutions, and we never went and saw where the water, where the pain was first. And then guess what? We would only have to open up the toolbox and pull out one tool or two or three to fix the problem, the pain. And so in sales, take a yellow pad, and it's just like this. It's an email, brief call, brief Zoom coffee, brief. I love virtual coffee. I love it because it's intriguing, right? How do you have a virtual coffee? Yeah. So I just brief virtual coffee, and I get onto the phone for 7 minutes, a Zoom call for 7 minutes. And I actually cut people off because they want to start going longer. I'm like, hey, I committed 7 minutes to you. Could we do a follow-up in a couple of weeks? And we'll even do a screen share. A couple of these things you shared, I could show you some of the resources we have. Yeah. And now for 2 weeks, they're anticipating coming back to show them what intrigued them, right? So just the strategy is a brief coffee. Now, in person is better, but you can still do it on Zoom, a virtual coffee.
It might be better. It might be better on Zoom because it's easier to cut them off, right? I mean, you got to realize one of the you've kind of combined this human element with the God energy element. When you say 7 minutes and you stick to 7 minutes, it leaves them wanting more. How often have we been in that conversation where it's lunch and we catch up and it goes for about 47 minutes, but you had an hour. The last 13 minutes it doesn't have the energy of the first 47 minutes.
Right.
So the nice thing about the 7 minute thing is, one, you're fulfilling the promise of 7 minutes, but number two is you're keeping the energy high in the relationship and leave them wanting more, and there's a lot of power in that. And so, it's one of those where I love the grab a coffee strategy. I love the idea of it's even more powerful through Zoom. It may be even more enjoyable in person, but it's more powerful through Zoom.
More efficient for sure. Yep.
Yeah. And so what are some email, text, and phone conversation topics that we can use now? Like you said earlier, Christine called and just did the check-in call, right? How are you doing call. And are there other conversation topics that we can use right now?
Right. Well, in your first initial discovery call, I was coaching a few real estate agents just earlier today. And we were revamping some of their discovery call, Michael, and it was really taking the story off. It's not our story, it's their story, right? Mm-hmm. And it's helping them be the hero of the story. So in our discovery call, it needs to be less about us and what we can do for them. Like, we can follow up. That's our follow-up. That's the time we follow up with solutions. Discovery call is all about them. So if we do proper discovery, we'll learn more about them. And don't learn about them so that you can bait and switch later on. Learn about them as a human. Mm-hmm. But you heard they had 3 kids or 2 kids, or they're looking for a private school, they're doing this, or they want to be in this part of town, or this, that, and the other, or they're moving, or they work this kind of a job. Like, you learn that. So now in today's snapshot, and every day is a new snapshot, right? We're not static. We're all vibrant. We all are like human beings, living beings. And so today's, what's the environment for that person that you talked to 2 months ago? If we reach out with the same approach we would have had before COVID, it's just, nowadays it's kind of like a text message. And here's the other thing, different strategies. So in communications, mass comm, they teach us use a whole marketing mix, right? You want to use all of it, but use different channels of communication for different things. So ask yourself this question. How do you want to be treated? Oh, there you go. 7 levels. There you go. Go get the book. By the way, real quick, I'm just going to do another. Go get the book, 7 levels. I'm serious. Go get a book and live at the top, dude. Live at the top 2 levels. I mean, be up there. Get up that pinnacle. Anyway, so long story short, an email, people get lost in email. Like, let's not live in the email. Email should be like transferring a document or a calendar invite. It needs to be transferring some sort of information. Email's big and bulky. Just remember that. So unless it's something for them or just a gift, or you're delivering a gift card or something totally them, then you can use email totally them. You don't want to have any sales scripts are okay. I'm not against sales scripts, but the sales script needs to be all about them and discovering them. Then your follow-ups, the text messages, right? So in text, always be brief in a text. Unless it's a good personal friend and you're building a friendship, you could be longer, or somebody just passed or something. You want to share like a favorite quote or a poem or something. That's fine. But if you're reaching out and somebody's gone crickets on you, whatever, reach out in a text empathetically with questions, right? Mm-hmm. Just short, sweet questions. Like, remember, in sales, it's a conversation. Sales is simply a conversation. So how do you earn the next one, and how do you keep the conversation going? Mm-hmm. Earn and keep. So how do you keep the conversation going, and how do you earn the next one? So in sales, make it about them. Hey, how the kids holding up? What's the school situation like? Do you guys need anything? Maybe there's somebody that's moving into your neighborhood. You could literally go by there. Like, here's the thing. We all in sales seem to want this easy button, this mass. We want to be able to mass blast everybody, and everyone's going to buy from me if I can just stay top of mind. No, actually, they're not. Real estate is a relationship business, and they're going to buy from you when they first know you care about them, their family. What do you say, Michael? Their health, their wealth, and their kids, right? It's like a long time ago podcast. I was listening to yours. I went all the way down your channel. It was just so much good there, dude. And I was listening. It's like, help them take care of their wealth, their health, their kids, their family. So anyway, ask them. Just text message should be about them. And when they respond, usually the conversation is going to come back around to where they're at in the game, because they know who you are, right? You discovered with them, you let them know who you are. So text message, short, sweet questions, right? And then go where they're at. So if you know they were on Facebook, ask them up front, hey, can we connect over there? Or if they landed on, maybe you have a page, you're a real estate agent, you invite them to your page, or you have a community group. Oh my goodness. If you don't have a group, need to have a group. Be the local mayor. I love what you say about that. But anyway, be the local, have a group and have them in there, and then reach out humanly, but be where they're at. It might be Facebook Messenger. They might like that better than a text. Some people like text more for their family and friends. And so by you pestering them in text, they didn't really allow you in there yet. So let's not just assume it's okay. Right. Find out where they like to be communicated. So there's a little bit more of a deeper sales strategy. Email for big, bulky, or just them. Text message, short, sweet, keep the conversation going and earn the next one. And then phone call. Oh my gosh, use the phone call. Get on the phone, hear their voice, call them. And if they don't answer, don't worry. Yeah. A no response is a response, okay? Just know they're not totally warmed up yet to you, or they don't trust you yet. You haven't earned the right yet. It's okay. Leave a nice, short, sweet voicemail. Leave a voicemail. Yeah. Let them hear your voice, and you'll build connection, I believe, and earn the trust.
Wow. That is awesome stuff, brother. That is, I mean, we're kind of coming up to the wrap. I mean, anything else to add to our conversation today before we go?
Really not. I'll say this last piece. Have some urgency behind your empathy. My sales coach came up with this: empathetic urgency. Like, as we exit COVID, just please be attuned to the emotions of human nature. I mean, we're all coming out of something. It's been traumatic for a lot of people. We might not have realized it. Even myself, as a sales guy, I'm a pretty positive person. It's been kind of traumatic. I got out to Richmond the other day, and I was like, it feels good to get back in front of people. I didn't realize, Michael, how much I've missed it, right? Speaking, and you know this, speaking virtually is not the same as speaking in person. The energy is not the same. You can't pick up on somebody in the audience about to ask a question. I mean, it's totally different. So for the home buyer, for the new home buyer, for the person that maybe has a shattered credit score because of this COVID period, or they lost their job, they had all this plans for a house, think about the depression that could set in. We are evangelists of love coming out of COVID. Let's remember that. Evangelists of love. We have vitamin L to give. So coming out of COVID, have some empathetic urgency. Get on the phone more. Forget the scripts a little bit more right now. Get on the phone more and just be unscripted. Just ask about them. Build your relationship. I promise you will go deeper. They'll be stronger. And people never forget it because of how you made them feel.
That's 100% accurate. Especially now, they're going to answer the phone. You know, people are at home. They're not as busy. They have time for your call. You are not bothering them. You are not distracting them. You are not interrupting them. You can put that thought aside, unfortunately or fortunately. So it's like you really don't have an excuse to not call. Like you must call. You should call. And I love that empathetic urgency, because you know the worst time to call is after your competitor just called them to check on them. That's the worst time to call. The best time to call is you're the first one to call and check on them. And that's the power of this. And I will tell you, this has been phenomenal. And I mean, you know, first and foremost, right? Prayers for Jennifer. And
thank you, Michael.
Healthy recovery, healthy, you know, God bless her for being a voice for women everywhere, and you know, and she's being strong, but she also needs to know she can be weak too. And it is, you know, so you know, first and foremost that, but second of all, phenomenal, dude. We got to have you come on again, you know, down the road.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to.
Yeah, this is just so good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And you've given us a healthy dose of vitamin L today, brother. And I really appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I love you, man. I mean, literally, thank you for being an ambassador of love. I love you and love what you stand for. Thanks for the community you've created. Guys, follow him. Follow Michael.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that we do love you. And what we've discovered out there is that some people have been struggling to get business, to do business, to you know, maybe have these conversations that are leading to business. So we have created this solution, and it's called the Smart Restart Summit. Smart, I mean, how many of us wish we could push a reset or a redo or a restart button, you know? And so what we've done is we have created this summit. It's only a half day, but we got Kevin Harrington. As soon as I told him the idea, he's the Shark Tank Shark. He's in. He's a keynote for us. He has a phenomenal idea on how to restart after kind of what's been going on. And then we got a guy named Josh Frazee who's done 33 pendings in the last 25 days. And he came up with this strategy during the quarantine, and it has worked like a charm, and it's super, super safe while also producing pending. So the Smart Restart Summit, you can go to gengen2020.com to register for that. There it is right there, gengen2020.com. So I'll keynote, Kevin Harrington's going to keynote. We do have a limit on tickets because of the limit on our Zoom. But the bottom line is we love you. It's not free because we want you to show up, you know, but it's not very expensive either. What we're hoping is you'll pay a little bit and you'll get a lot. And that's GenGen 2020. So check that out, gengen2020.com, and make that happen. So before I go, Tim, I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a guest today on Referrals Podcast. You're one of the most referable people I've ever met. And I just really appreciate your time today.
You bet. Thank you, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just hit 100,000 downloads, 100,000 downloads on Referrals Podcast. You, ladies and gentlemen, made it happen for the most part. I will tell you that I downloaded it myself 52,000 times, but I want you to know, thank you so much for helping us achieve 100,000 downloads. We will see you next time on the Referrals Podcast. Go to referralspodcast.com, check out the downloads. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.